animals as well. So that's something that we're going to focus on as we go through the presentation this afternoon, and we'll hopefully showcase a little bit of everything. Well, yes, also as I mentioned, looking at some of the things we don't know about these particular animals. But we're going to be joined by a few of our marine mammal trainers putting the Feliz in Feliz Navidad. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the lovely Anna, and she'll be joined very shortly by Leo and Charlotte on the far side. And we have today not just one, not two, but 3 dolphins that we'll be working with. And we have 1 male and 2 ladies here at the aquarium, and we call them Spinnaker, Helen, and Hannah. Those are the names that we've given them. But by show of hands, has anyone ever seen this particular species before off our coast? Because they are actually neighbors of ours. And yes, if you are fortunate enough, every now and again you will see them. But perhaps, oh, here comes Charlotte. Hey, Charlotte. Here she comes. Some more introductions, perhaps. Spinnaker, Helen, and Hannah, as I mentioned, yes, they're known as Pacific white-sided dolphins. And while researchers know quite a bit about dolphins in general, this particular species, there's actually quite a few questions. However, with the help of Spinnaker, Helen, and Hannah, we're doing what we can to answer at least a few of those questions. Now, it's actually quite rare to be able to work with this particular species in an aquarium to begin with. More commonly seen, more commonly known are, of course, bottlenose dolphins. And if you've ever seen a bottlenose, you'll know that that ain't no bottlenose. They're much more torpedoed shaped, and they have, of course, that unique coloration along the sides, and that's where you get the name Pacific white-sided dolphin. It makes sense. And in terms of all species of dolphins put together, they are considered to be one of the most acrobatic of the dolphins out there. And if you watch, you may get an idea, well, why that is exactly. Because there's not too many species that can do that. And while you may be thinking, well, of course they're acrobatic. You're asking them to be acrobatic. Well, yes we are. But you may, if you're lucky, as I mentioned, every now and again, even off the port side bow of BC Ferries, catch this action happening, because they're frequently sighted up and down our coast. Most recently, I think up the Sunshine Coast area, there was a group of 100 or 200 of these animals spotted. And this last summer, there was 6 or 7 that came in underneath the Lion's Gate. So yeah, they're fairly regularly seen quite here. However, it's not just the ones that we have here or the Pacific white-sided dolphins in the open ocean. There's all different dolphin species. They face quite a few dangers out there. And the animals that we have here, they are no exception to that. But to tell us a little bit more about the personal stories of one of the animals that we have here, on the far side, ladies and gentlemen, the lovely Leonora.
Sure, Alex. All 3 of our dolphins are what we refer to as rescued and rehabilitated animals. They were actually found entangled in fishing nets off the coast of Japan, but they were brought to a rehabilitation facility where they were deemed non-releasable. Luckily, we have been able to provide them with a permanent home here at the Wild Coast. Working with me today is a beautiful Hannah. She's been here since 2005, and we have been able to provide her with a permanent home here at the Wild Coast, and we have been able to build and maintain a very strong relationship with her in order to provide her with the best possible care through training and regular checkups. Everything that we learn from Spinnaker, Helen, and Hannah's healthcare is used by veterinarians and researchers to gain a better understanding of these mysterious dolphins. In fact, every day that we spend with these animals reveals more information about their species as well as their individual personalities that, believe it or not, they're just as different as you and me. Isn't that right, you guys? That's right. But most of all, Spinnaker, Helen, and Hannah remind us that fishing nets pose a serious hazard and threats to dolphins all over the world.
Gracias, Leo. So, yes, together with the animals, we work with different research groups that have questions that they'd like our animals to answer, and we decide that, oh, yeah, all right, we'll give that one a shot. Okay. And it's always best to work off a base of knowledge of some sort. And do we know anything? Well, yes, we know a few things. We know these animals travel together in groups, sometimes small groups, maybe 2 or 3 individuals. But those groups, as I mentioned, can reach sizes of 200 to 300, give or take. And if you're going to work with a dolphin, you need a boat. That one's kind of obvious, but you need a fast boat. Because these animals, they can move upwards of 35 kilometers an hour. And while when we're used to car speeds, it's not fast, 35. Well, keep in mind the speed limit for cars inside Stanley Park is only 30. So at 35, you can actually be passed by a dolphin as you're driving around. It would be ridiculous, but it could happen. The speed very handy, of course, for catching up with dinner and getting away from predators, because we have some very large black and white animals that can also move fairly fast up our coast. And even the animals that these guys go after, they can be pretty fast as well. And any ideas what do these animals like to eat?
Fish.
Slippery fish, you are correct. They are quite slippery. But imagine, if you will, that you're a Pacific white-sided dolphin off our coast and you are looking for your catch of the day. And we are very fortunate that, yeah, the Pacific Northwest can be teeming with life at various times of the year. But sometimes the water is dark. If you're deep, it's murky. How do you even know what you're doing if you're a dolphin? Well, they can see really well, but if they can't see, they can also use sound to navigate. And it's known as echolocation. They make noise inside their head, and that's some of the dolphin echolocation noise. That sound goes out, bounces off stuff, it comes back, and they're able to piece together, oh, that's what's going on. Now, we know it is a really accurate sense. They can see remarkably well, but how well? And if they can see so well, why can't they see nets? And why do these guys get caught in nets? So that's something we're trying to figure out, but it's not a simple question, because how do you ask a dolphin, okay, close your eyes, how many browbeat you because it tastes really good and there's lots of us that eat seafood. However, there are different programs out there that certainly encourage us to be a little bit more sustainable with our seafood choices. One of the programs the aquarium has together with local restaurants and markets, it's now nationwide, it's known as the Oceanwise program. You see that?
Because she was born here, her mom is here. That's Aurora. In the center of the habitat was Kristen. There's a beluga hello from her. She's in her early to mid-20s, and on the far side of the habitat working with Phil is Katna. And Katna is our oldest beluga whale. She's been here since around 1976. She's really cool. So certainly some pretty impressive belugas here at Vancouver Aquarium to learn so much more about. And hopefully with their help we'll learn today that despite the fact that we don't come across belugas like these all too terribly often, our lives, the lives of belugas like these, are still very much connected. But sometimes that can be a bit surprising because, well, we don't get to see big things like that from Aurora there in the center. We don't often get to see those big beautiful bodies because these belugas live a little bit further away from most of us. Can anyone tell me in fact where in the world most beluga whales are found? Just shout it out. The Arctic, absolutely. And if you were to imagine for a moment that you were in the Arctic, what sort of things do you think you'd be feeling? Very cold, yes. No.